Welcome to Week in Geek, your new comics preview for August 29th. I'm Mike Ortiz.
And I'm the Chris Brown.
What do you got?
Well, I'm going to lead off here with the Green Team. This is the Teen Trillionaires. You had pointed out last time that this was sort of an old concept that they made fresh again. And as I've pointed out, I really like the fact that Art Baltazar is writing something in continuity.
Yeah.
And I like it. The book has been kind of fun so far. I finally started to get caught up, but now I'm an issue behind again. So I finally read the 2, and then I'm behind on the 3. But I like where it's going. They've got this, this odd villain that's kind of jumping in. And again, it's supposed to represent the little guy. But these guys are doing, not necessarily, they're trying to do the right thing. Even though they're rich and, again, they're
nice
heroic. And they're nice rich people.
They're Bruce Wayne rich people, not Lex Luthor.
Yeah, exactly. They're trying to do the right thing as teen trillionaire superhero types. Then I've got, this is New Avengers issue number 9, written by Jonathan Hickman with, looks like, art by Mike Deodato. This is a part of Infinity. I am behind on my New Avengers a little. I gotta get caught up. I'm behind on a lot. I've had a lot going on, but I'm doing the best I can. This is a story here. This is a Thanos story, and as we pointed out, Thanos. Very, very excited, both of us, and this looks great too. Mike Deodato drawing Thanos is unbelievable.
Yeah.
This is so far. I did end up reading Infinity, and I did. It's cool. I like where it's going. Kind of cool, fun stuff, and this is kind of the New Avengers half of it.
Yeah.
So the stories were colliding.
Doctor Strange in there as you were flipping.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Do we have Doctor Strange?
So I always like to see
That's always fun.
Some good Doctor Strange stuff in the Avengers.
Yes.
It was somewhere in there.
Somewhere. So then that brings me right to the next one here.
More.
I had a smaller stack, so I got to squeak by with more.
Is that the last issue?
Thanos. It is the last issue.
Damn it! I got 4 out of 5. You got the.
But I got to sneak in there at the end.
Yeah, I got a big week this week.
This has been a really great title so far. I didn't like the stuff as a kid, as I pointed out in the first issue, because to me, I never really need that much origin.
Yeah.
But a story that goes back, I don't have a problem with. But that just felt so much like they were trying to give me an origin. But then when they began to tell this story about how death has always been at his side, death is always coaxing him along, and trying to get him to do the various things he's done, like wipe out all of his children, wipe out his planet, all of this stuff, just in pursuit of this girl that he can't have. And in, I think it was the last issue, his crew just sees him going nuts.
Right.
Like, he's screaming and going crazy, and they always just, they called him Thanos the Mad. And that's why, because he's been talking to Death the whole time.
Right.
And didn't realize that she wasn't really there for everybody else. And then, she turns into the skeleton, and it was really cool stuff. And this will wrap it up, I guess, and take us to the, does this get us closer to Thanos' quest, or...
Yeah.
I don't know, but...
I know, I've heard people kind of complaining, because geeks complain about
That's what they do.
That this particular portrayal of death is not entirely consistent with how she'd been shown in the past. Which normally she was just a woman in a robe who never spoke.
Right.
And Thanos was chasing her, but she was kind of almost a non-entity. But I actually like giving her some character and making her a little bit more interesting. And this is the first time I've ever actually bought why Thanos would be doing all this stuff for death. Before, they never really explained why. He just, for some reason, had the hots for this woman in a robe.
Exactly, and this, I think, really does sort of work, the way they've brought it together. I agree that it's inconsistent, but there's not much we can do. I mean, it still works in the story they're telling, because you're reestablishing a new story.
Right. Sometimes inconsistent is an improvement.
Well, that's true. That's very, very true.
That was Thanos.
A great title so far, and I'm looking forward to wrapping that up and seeing where it goes. Next, I've got Collider number 2, which is no longer Collider number 2, but now says Welcome to the Federal Bureau of Physics.
That's the new title, I believe.
We were talking earlier before we got started, and apparently they were sued by the owner of Collider, but not before they got an issue out.
Yeah, there was another person had a trademark on Collider, I think, as a comic that DC was unaware of until the first issue came out. So, they changed the title.
But a great title. I mean, now it pretty much explains what it is. It is the Federal Bureau of Physics. They're trying to when there's physical breakdowns, these are the guys that take care of it. The first issue was really fun. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do, as an ongoing series with something, kind of offbeat and sort of obtuse, a little strange. Another Vertigo title here. I'm looking at Tom Strong and the Planet of Peril. I just like the Tom Strong character. I like the kind of pulpy nature of things. And that actually looked like an old pulp character. Isn't that someone that had been in the Terror?
Something like that. Probably their version of it.
Yeah, that looks like a character that had already appeared in the other Dynamite superhero things that they were doing. Cool story, very pulpy. You know, he's got like a robot. He's got his daughter. There's other things going on, and they're having pulpy type adventures. I believe they're in space this go round. Then I'm looking at The Mysterious Strangers. This is issue number 3. That last time around we got issues 1 and 2 at the same time.
I remember that.
And kind of a strange book. I'm trying to remember what happened because it feels like I read 2 right away and then had such a long gap. It was sort of a weird book. I believe one of their heroes got turned on them. They were fighting him, and so something strange was going on. He'd been brainwashed in some way. What I really like about this book, though, is the art. It's kind of I really like Mike Allred, and I loved it when I was a teenager, and I was talking about this with someone the other day. On the FF, it feels weirder than it did with Madman because it's just weirder in the Marvel Universe. This is almost like a similar kind of clean style the way Allred did it, and very pop culture kind of feeling, but it works in what they're doing again, rather than trying to make it work in a superhero thing. It works in a strange, bizarre, pop culture-y sense. Then I've got Mind the Gap number 13. Great book, great weird mystery, and now it's starting to turn into something a little different. They're starting to kind of unravel this mystery of what it is that had happened to Elle and why it is that her mom's behind it. The last issue had kind of gone farther into all of the suspects that could have been the Hoodie and why they all had the part to play. This has been a really, really cool book, and if you are not reading Mind the Gap, I'll tell you, as I always tell you, you need to pick this one up. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 25. I have fallen way behind on the Ninja Turtles, but I love this book because they have turned Leonardo into a member of the Foot. What an interesting new place to take it. He's essentially been brainwashed by Shredder into thinking that his brothers are not his brothers, and that Splinter had been just using him the whole time and didn't care for him, and now he is one of them.
Kind of surprised they haven't done something like this before. I mean, the hero turning into the villain is a classic comic storyline.
Absolutely, but we'd never really seen it here, and now I think it's great. And to see, oh no, Leonardo is a member of the Foot. What do we do? Oh no. Then I'm looking at Itty Bitty Hellboy number 1 of 5. This is another Art Baltazar title, Art and Franco, and this is kind of more of what I'd always enjoyed.
What they brought to Tiny Titans and Superman, they now bring to Hellboy.
Yes, and very much in the same style, but now Hellboy characters, and it looks like it's going to be more cute little fun jokes every few pages, a couple little short stories, getting all the characters in. Great stuff. I missed Tiny Titans, really missed that book. I liked Superman Adventures, but it didn't hit all the same beats for me. And now I'm hoping Itty Bitty Hellboy does that in a Hellboyish fashion.
Itty Bitty Hellboy Committee. Some of you will get that. Those of you that don't ask your parents.
Don't ask your parents.
They won't let you watch the show anymore.
And they shouldn't already.
I'm going to start off with Batman Incorporated Special number 1. Now the the main series written by Grant Morrison ended. This is not written by Grant Morrison. It looks like we've got some other people. A variety of people on art and writing chores. It's continuing some of the characters from the Batman Incorporated, the Batman from around the world, but I think the centerpiece is Batcow. Batcow gets his own feature here, and a hint that the Batman Incorporated concept may not be over. Surprise, surprise. Next up, Superman. This is by Mike Johnson and Jesus Marino. Kind of strange. There's a switch on the creative team. I've mentioned I like Jesus Marino's artwork a lot. I don't know who Mike Johnson is.
And it looks like it's still a Hector Hammond story,
it's still the Hector Hammond and the Hive storyline that they've been playing with in this book for a while. Hector Hammond with his big giant head. He's turning into DC's MODOK. But the new Psycho Pirate is introduced. So, yeah, there's been a lot of stuff. Superman has always had the weakness to mind control and things like that. So they're just basically giving him some mentally powered villains to fight. It's pretty good stuff overall, but the Superman books are still a little bit on the uneven side.
Okay.
They still have yet to find a really solid footing outside of the Superman Unchained, which I think is pretty solid. Next up is the Red Lanterns. Guy Gardner had basically beaten Atrocitus and taken over the as the leader of the Red Lantern Corps. It looks like in this one, Atrocitus is back. Also, it looks like Dexter is back too. And
he's right on the cover there.
Yep, and the Butcher, which is the kind of the entity that's associated with the Red Lanterns, is in this as well. As you've seen in some of the other books, the entities are ill. So Parallax. Well, Parallax is now merged with Sinestro, so I guess that's not quite working the same way. But all of the other entities have been sucked out of their batteries. They're dying for some reason. I'm sure this all ties into the big Lights Out storyline and crossover that's coming to the Lantern stuff. So yeah, this has been a new take on the Red Lanterns. Guy Gardner has gone undercover, but once you become a Red Lantern, you might actually stay a Red Lantern. And it looks like we're going to have yet another throwdown with Atrocitus and Guy Gardner again. Yet another Lantern book. We've got Larfleeze. This has not really been tying into any of the other stuff. Larfleeze is doing his own thing.
I hear it's fun, though.
This is a funny book. This is by Giffen and DeMatteis, who did the humorous version of the Justice League. And this has been a very funny book. Some weird kind of Kirby-esque stuff in the artwork by Scott Collins. It's hard to really talk about Larfleeze a whole lot. There's some big elder god that beat him, and now he wants revenge. They thought he was dead, but apparently he was just captured. His minion, who hates him, changed sides. This is a goofy book, and it looks like now at the end there's some more Orange Lanterns. Looks like they made changes, so there's not just one Orange Lantern anymore.
Okay.
But overall, it's still been some fun stuff.
Which plays against the whole avarice kind of thing. It made sense in the first place.
It does, but, I don't expect a lot to make sense in this book.
That's fair.
This is playing it for laughs all the way. Next up, Wolverine and the X-Men number 35. This is the 5th chapter of the Hellfire Saga, introducing the new, younger Hellfire Club. This has been a really good book. Like I've said before, Jason Aaron writing the students of the X-Men, the Young Mutants, basically a New Mutants book in many ways, up against the young Evil Mutants. So it's a lot of fun. Definitely a different tone than the seriousness in Bendis' X books. So if you want something a little lighter, a little bit more fun, a little more teenagery, that's Wolverine and the X-Men. Speaking of Bendis' X-Men books, we've got Uncanny X-Men, and this is Cyclops and Magneto and Magic and Emma Frost, and basically the bad, quote-unquote bad mutants and their book as they're trying to save mutant kind in their own way while everybody, including S.H.I.E.L.D. and the rest of the X-Men are after them. Good stuff. This is and All-Star X-Men have been great books. They're great companion pieces. I don't like this one as much as All-Star X-Men because, this Scott's kind of a jerk. And the other.
Well, he's always been kind of, nobody's liked him.
Those X-Men are at least nice.
Oh,
these are bad. This is next up, Uncanny Avengers number 11. This has got the new Horseman of the Apocalypse, which has the Sentry who was dead, and Wolverine's son Daken who was dead, and Banshee. I'm wondering if this is going to be how they bring Banshee back. Because it seems whenever they have like a Horseman of the Apocalypse, at the end one of them comes back. Wasn't Wolverine dead?
I think
so. And a Horseman, and Cyclops was dead and a Horseman. So yeah, we'll see if that's how this pans out. But overall, it's been pretty good. Rick Remender, art by Daniel Acuna. Next up, Ultimate Comics Spider-Man. We found out that the Ultimate Universe may be coming to an end, and Miles Morales looks like he's going to be joining the regular Marvel Universe at some point.
I've heard that.
So yeah, this is probably building towards that. Looks like we got some young Nick Fury in a disco outfit. That's weird. It's a second cover.
Weird.
Amazing Fantasy 14 with young Nick Fury.
Okay.
But this has had Cloak and Dagger in this, and some other kind of ultimate versions of some characters. Miles, it looks like, has gotten back into it. His mother died. He gave up being Spider-Man. Took him a few issues longer than Peter to realize that with great power comes great responsibility.
We didn't have his uncle to tell him.
He didn't.
His uncle was the Prowler.
Right. That's right. He learned a different lesson.
With great power comes great irresponsibility.
Yes.
So it took him a while.
It took him a little while. It took him a year. But now it looks like he's, a new Taskmaster. The Ultimate Universe may be coming to an end, but that's not stopping them from reintroducing characters. But yeah, Cloak and Dagger, a lot of interesting stuff. Talked about this book many times.
Sure.
Who knows how long it's going to be around, though. Next up, The Unwritten. I don't know what's going on in this book because it's a Vertigo book that I only read when all 5 issues are out.
It's a big crossover anyway.
This is the crossover with Fables. Although I think at the end of this, they're ending the book and then restarting it. So I don't know if they're going to kind of try for some sort of a tighter ending. I guess maybe it's the new 52 attitude of give it a number 1 and sales will spike. I don't know. I've mentioned this book many times. It's a good book, a literate book. It's a book that's smarter than I am. I read it and go, I should probably understand that reference, but I wasn't paying attention in class that day. But still, solid book. Next up, Justice League number 23. This is the end of the Trinity War. I'm not going to spoil it. I did read ahead, and some of it's been leaked out already, but I think it happens in a more interesting way than I was expecting. But we get a resolution. We get the introduction of what's going to happen in Forever Evil and in the Villain Month, and we find out the secret of Pandora's box, which is something that nobody else had guessed. So actually, some pretty interesting stuff. Jeff Johns in their first crossover, or at least lead into the first really big crossover, has done some clever stuff. So good job. That's my stack.
Well, that brings me to the top of my stack here, which is we've got issue number 2 of Touching Evil by the self-published book by Dan Doherty, Beardo Comics. That first issue was freaking fantastic. I really, really enjoyed that first issue. At this point, you got enough time, that you should have read it. I mean, spoiler alert. If you haven't read it, I'm sorry, but maybe it'll intrigue you enough to get going. It involves a curse. There's a prison inmate who has this curse where if he touches anyone who's evil, they're dead. If you're not evil, you're good, you're fine. He ends up kind of crossing paths with the defense attorney that is defending mobsters. She's got to, deal with him. She ends up receiving this, curse. She doesn't really understand what she's going to allow the guy to give her, but she says okay. She agrees to accept it. And then things go crazy. She has no idea what has happened. She accidentally kills a couple of her clients. They shoot her. And then in this issue, we're kind of dealing with the fact that the warden, who's been using the inmate to his own purposes, doesn't realize that it's now gone. It's moments after. And he's got to deal with it. Ada has to deal with what she's doing. There's people there's a lot going on, including Ada's boss, the partner at the firm, that is now, suddenly realizing what has happened as well. And there you go. So really, really cool stuff. This second issue was fantastic. Definitely pick both of those up.
Cool.
What are you looking at?
My top is going to be FF number 11. We have found out recently that Matt Fraction is going to be leaving both of these books to focus on the upcoming Inhumans book, and I think he's doing one of the next big crossovers, something like that. But he's still writing this one. Michael Allred's still drawing it. This made it to the top of my stack entirely because of The Impossible Man. This is the FF Meet the Impossible Man for the first time. I am a huge fan of The Impossible Man. I know I'm like maybe one of 2 guys that love this character. He's
fun. I like him too.
People have called him basically Marvel's version of Mr. Mxyzptlk.
That's
which is kind of true. And he actually, I think in one of the Marvel DC crossover, those 2 are kind of the villains. But he's a lot of fun. He's a great Fantastic Four. He's not really a villain. He's an antagonist. He's an immensely powerful shapeshifter who's really just out for fun and to have a good time, and that's dangerous because he's a weird alien that has no moral compass and no comprehension that most of the rest of the universe are actually fragile mortal creatures.
Yes.
So that usually means some sort of hijinks will ensue. And
drawn by Mike Allred.
And I can't think of anyone better to ensue with hijinks than Matt Fraction. Sure. And
this is a place where that works now.
Yes.
This is a place where that very much works for me.
Yes. When it's dramatic and it's Doctor Doom and stuff like that, it's a little
weird. Yeah.
But when it's weird, crazy, shape-shifting alien, it's a lot of fun. And like I said, I've loved this character. I think the very first Fantastic Four I ever read was a Treasury edition that reprinted his first appearance. So I've been a fan of him pretty much as long as I've been a fan of the Fantastic Four. And I always love it when he pops up. He only shows up every few years. And whenever he does, I make sure to grab it.
Didn't Hickman do him in one of the Fantastic Four issues he was doing?
Probably, because Hickman, I think, covered everything.
Yeah. I thought there was something with him in there.
It seems like, he's that one FF character. You don't want to put him in too much because he can't really do a whole lot except mess things up for a little while and go away.
Right.
But like every writer, I think has got an Impossible Man. Every FF writer has got an Impossible Man story in him, and this one is Matt Fraction. So for me, it's a lot of fun and an easy top pick.
So with that is your Week in Geek.
And don't forget, next week.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Next week, September 4th, check out your Hoax Hunters number 10.
Mm-hmm.
That is the special variant cover done by Mike Ortiz, featuring Mike Ortiz and myself, as well as the other two writers of writers of Hoax Hunters, the other two people on the cover.
Yes.
The writers of Hoax Hunters, Mike Morrissey and Steve Seeley. Be sure to check that out. You're only going to be able to get that at Comics and More. And you can also order it exclusively on WeekNGeek, so be sure to get a hold of us. And we will tell you more about it next week. Mm-hmm. So that is your WeekNGeek.